And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. We got a good one today. Couple of things that we're checking off the list, the things that I might do at some point. Number one, this is the first fan-made scenario to ever appear on Solo Playthroughs. That is right, the return of the apocalypse, or the return of apocalypse. There is no of the, just apocalypse. That's fine. This was a fan-made scenario made by Board Game Geek user DrakeSeawood. That's probably his real name, could be a pseudonym, but DrakeSeawood made the Return of Apocalypse scenario. It is a merger of a lot of other scenarios in that you have Volkare's quest joined in with life and death in a very dynamic way. This scenario is not good for people who have not explored a lot of Tezla. I would highly recommend you do that. And I also highly recommend that you have played Volkare's quest a few times, and then you might want to consider putting this into your rotation of Mage Knight scenarios. It's very cool. If you like the Draconum, you will really like this scenario. It brings the Draconum to the forefront. That said, there's a lot of rules in this scenario. It probably could be streamlined and simplified. To me, at least, it has a little bit of a lack of polish that kind of bothers me in ways, but I do love what this scenario is trying to do. And for the most part, it pulls it off. And I'm really glad to put it on the channel. And why am I putting it on the channel, you ask? Well, I'm putting it on the channel because this was a patron challenge from Brian Schultz. Yes, I have not said the phrase patron challenge in quite some time. And that is not because there have been no patron challenges accrued. Oh, no. I just have some patrons that are just sitting on their challenge until the right moment. And no doubt they're all going to contact me at once and say, no, we want to do our patron challenge now. And I'm going to be like, you got to wait 3 months because my schedule's already freaking planned out. But it's very cool. Hey, sit on those patron challenges as long as you want, and I'll be happy to do them when the time comes. But this was a very cool challenge from Brian, so I appreciate him thinking outside the box a little bit, and definitely happy to put this on the channel. And thanks to DrakeSeawood for the work he did in showing his love for the game and creating something new for Mage Knight players to try. I did set up the map already. I didn't think it would be a good video to have me messing with these tiles for 5 to 10 minutes to make them fit on the screen just right. I assure you this was all randomized. If you don't believe me, that's totally fine. I won't lose any sleep over it, but this was absolutely randomized down to me rolling a die for every single individual piece of terrain that I put on the map, including these starting 3 tiles. Now, this file is a full color file. I just printed it off in black and white that you can get in the BGG files page. And again, if you just Google Mage Knight Return of Apocalypse, it will take you right to the appropriate page. We will go through this together to make sure we are doing this correct. I'm just going to read the little bit of flavor text at the top. There is some story and narrative that goes with it. This is a rather lengthy file in that it is 8 pages for one scenario, and it is pretty much exclusively made for solo play. There is a discussion about playing this cooperatively at the back of this 8 pages, but Drake was pretty upfront that he hasn't totally balanced it for that. This is really a solo scenario. So, the Return of Apocalypse. For generations, the Tirage cult has been only whispers in the wind, dark tales of zealous believers sustaining an ancient evil by sacrificing the living. But now the dark riders ride the land, and the minions of Apocalypse have stepped out of the shadows at last. Its members have cast aside their loyalties to other factions like unneeded cloaks, and now worship only death and destruction. Though they have yet to build an army of their own, occasional raids by Apocalypse cabals to kidnap innocents have been enough to strike fear into the hearts of common folk, especially as rumors say that those kidnapped are being sacrificed by the minions to power dark magic that might divide and destroy the land once and for all. That is a quote from Anonymous 435TZ. What the heck does that have to do with the 5-headed dragon that we're about to see? Well, glad you asked. Here we go. In the Age of Mists, the Apocalypse Dragon birthed thousands of twisted creatures and along with the underworld forces led them on a rampage that laid waste to the entire land. Countless armies fought valiantly against the Apocalypse Dragon with no success until 4 great heroes appeared: Kaznak, Surthin, Lord Valantis, and Tovak Wormstalker. These mighty warriors smashed the Apocalypse Dragon to the point of sealing it back into the egg that it came from in an epic and bloody battle that shook the world. From that day on, they were known as the legendary Dragon Slayers. The mystical egg turned out to be indestructible. So from that moment on, the Draconum and Dracona hid the egg away and swore to watch over and defend it forever. The dragon slayers were themselves sealed in a sort of magic stasis to arise when the apocalypse dragon made a comeback. Now, several centuries later, the cycle has begun anew. The egg has been forcibly captured from its guardians, and the apocalypse faction is rising up from the shadows. What the ancient faction leaders feared in the past is happening now. The apocalypse dragon has been reborn. Will you be able to stop it, or will you try to escape its imminent dominance over the land? Only you decide. Nothing is known yet about the Dragon Slayers and if their magical sealing broke. Strangely, even the Council of the Void hasn't manifested itself anymore. They seem to have vanished after the events around the abrupt appearance of the Apocalypse Dragon, but that's another story. So we have the dragon. The Apocalypse Dragon is represented by 5 enemy tokens corresponding to the number of its heads: war, famine, control, pestilence, and death. Although the most powerful creature to ever existed in the history of the land, after desolating an entire city, the dragon decided to stop and stay on the ruins to concentrate its inner powers and spawn abominable armies. It's a smart creature, so it's waiting for the right moment to unleash all its rage and to begin spreading chaos and destruction all over the world. Despite having a sudden, passive behavior, its presence and plagues manage to be perceived thousands of miles away, even beyond the edges of the land. The warring factions and local civilizations haven't realized yet that the end of times is about to come soon. The Apocalypse Dragon's deed deck is basically going to be very similar to Volkare's deed deck in Volkare's quest, except what the cards trigger when they're turned over is very, very different, and we'll get to that. Combat versus the Apocalypse Dragon is similar to combat versus Volkare's Legion. The dragon behaves like a city. Again, it's just chilling in the red ruins. So I just put the Necropolis token there just to indicate that this isn't a normal city. So basically the red city isn't there, it's just ruined. This is actually the red city card. I just have it flipped upside down, and we're going to put the Draconum tokens right on top of that. Whenever attacked, it is considered an assault, but you don't lose reputation. However, the dragon is not fortified. The combat has a similar structure to the usual combat with enemies. You follow the same rules. However, based on the rules, you should know that all parts of the dragon are considered to have arcane immunity. And although it is one dragon with 5 heads, you can treat them like individual enemies as you would treat enemies as part of the same garrison in a normal city siege or in a normal battle against Volkare. The calamities, the apocalypse, there are 6 of them. We will play at the max recommended difficulty level. I have done that. I did find it a very nice challenge. The calamities are war. A powerful roar is heard in the distance, similar to a war cry in a language never spoken before, frightening the villages and local civilizations. Because of fear and distrust, interactions are less common. Consequently, it's more difficult to happen. Famine, food is scarce. Due to the weakening and decrease in strength, the movement has become very tiring. Control, mysteriously declines in sanity began to occur. In the surroundings, if not all over the continent, there is an increasingly strong air of confusion. The warring factions still don't know where this unusual feeling comes from, but it's only a matter of time. Then we have pestilence, an unknown deadly epidemic spreads across much of the land, causing unexplained illness and strange wounds on the body. So we have 2 more after this. One is death. The survival rate is kept at minimum and countless deaths occur. In front of such devastation, the priceless losses demoralize even the bravest and fiercest knights. And finally, Beast Mother, using elemental magic and the essence of exterminated and devoured creatures, the Apocalypse Dragon is able to spawn an abominable offspring formed by an army of twisted creatures without their own identity, lost as they were generated by the dragon itself, who now uses them as part of its army. Then we have a note here, the Ghost of Oblivion. By combining the arts of necromantic magic with a high concentration of mana, an ancient relic, and mysterious element, the dragon managed to summon and take possession of the wandering spirit of a powerful deceased Draconum warrior who was possessed, betrayed, and murdered by the Solonavi. It seems the dragon has transformed into a spectral familiar, giving it new life, or that it has turned into a puppet. Nobody knows. It's only known that the Draconum Spectre has been summoned again and sent to the surroundings of the Darthian Citadel to make sure that no mortal dares to undertake retaliations against the being that gave its life back, even if such attempts would be in vain anyways. We'll talk more about the Ghost of Oblivion, who is otherwise just known as the Draconum Spectre. So there's more flavor text here. I'm not going to read all that. We're going to go to game setup. Again, the setup is on the board as is. You do need all the components from all expansions, except you would not need Krang, although you should get Krang because he's amazing. The map is open, limited to 3. The countryside tiles, there are 8 countryside tiles, 3 of which would start revealed. Playing on the rampaging difficulty, which again is the 3rd difficulty here on this chart. Exactly 2 of the 8 countryside tiles have magical glades. The 3 that I revealed do not have magical glades. So out of these 5, 2 of them will have magical glades. And similar to Tezla, when they're revealed, if it's on the north side of the land, they will have Dark Crusader faction tokens on them, and they will become graveyards. If it's on the south side of the land, it will have Elementalist faction tokens on them, and they will stay a graveyard. There will be rewards if you defeat those enemies. If it's a center tile here that has a magical glade on it, when we flip it, we'll roll a die. If it's green, gold, or white, you will put enemies there from the Elementalist faction. If it is blue, black, or red, you will put enemies there from the Dark Crusader faction. The same will go for rampaging enemies. If we're here, they're going to be enemies from the Dark Crusader faction. If they're here, enemies from the Elementalist faction. If it's in the middle, we'll roll a die. So any rampaging enemies put on the board will not be from the normal enemies. Normal enemies will be part of this game, but they'll only be part in adventure sites like dungeons or mazes, and there will be certain things to do with the dragon rules that will have the normal enemies. Now, there are 2 core city tiles involved. Again, we have the red city tile up there and the white city tile here. It says here we're going to put the ancient ruin tiles there, so I'll go ahead and do that now, but do not place rampaging enemies. There is a semicolon there, which is a little bit confusing because I'm not sure if that means that we shouldn't place a rampaging enemy on the red city tile or both city tiles. Considering that it does not specifically say red city tile, I think it means we're not putting rampaging enemies on either of these 2 city tiles that are there. But it also doesn't actually mention whether or not we're supposed to put the keep token next to the white city tile. I am going to go ahead and put that. If that's wrong, Drake, and if you're watching this, please make that correction. It's just a little bit unclear, right? It says, hey, put the Ruins token. Great, so I'm going to put that. If I spend 3 blue mana, I can get 7 fame. So I am assuming right now, based on my reading of these rules, we're not placing any of these 3 Draconum, but we are going to go ahead and put a keep token there. So I will do that now and just put a keep token face down, because this is not a rampaging enemy. Great. Look at that. It looks so pretty next to the white city over there. The white city is friendly. So I put one of Wolfhawk's shields on there now. If we are adjacent to it, we will get +1 to our card draw. We are specifically told that we are not the leader of the white city, but there's some other benefits. We will get the normal ability to recruit in the white city, and there are some other benefits specific to this scenario, but I'll get to that on the next page. I'll go ahead and get the spell offer set. Note that this spell is here. The Apocalypse Dragon's D deck does have the 4 interactive spells. Unlike in the Volkare scenarios, the spells do not cause a double action. It's just a single action, so all that matters is the color. And since I'm playing on the rampaging level, I went ahead and put 16 wounds into the deck. So all told, the deck has 36 cards. It has the D deck of Goldix. I just have Goldix's deck shuffled in with 16 wounds, so I didn't want to separate that. We have the 4 competitive spells, and then we have 16 wounds. So 16 plus 16 plus 4, 36. That's right. So I assure you there's 36 there. I'll count it off probably just because I want to make sure it's right, but I'm going to go ahead and set the spell offer. We get Whirlwind, we get Restoration, and we get Fireball. Fireball is amazing. Whirlwind's not that strong since all the Draconum are going to be considered to have arcane immunity. Getting things that have non-block or non-attack effects is probably not the greatest use of your resources in this game. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the advanced actions. So the dragon replaces the dummy player in this scenario and counts towards the total number of players. So we will have the extra die in the source and the extra unit in the offer. One more shuffle on the advanced actions. Look at these set up. We have Crystal Mastery, Explosive Bolt, and Training. We're supposed to take 3 red enemy tokens from the regular red enemy token pile. So I'm going to get my regular Draconum. So these are the Draconum that come with both the Lost Legion and the base game shuffled together. I'm going to take these 3, and they're all supposed to go face down. I'm going to put them over there on that upside down red city card. So that's 1 Draconum token, 2, and I'll make sure I get the Ice Dragon to go along with the Draconum Summoner just to make my life nice and fun. In addition to that, I need to add 1 Draconum from the Elementalist faction, so that will go there. Yes, the Tezla tokens are a little bit smaller than the non-Tezla tokens. If you have the Ultimate Edition, that is not true for you, but it is still true for me. And then I'm going to put 1 token from the Dark Crusader faction. So those are the 5 heads of the dragon. Arrange them in some fancy display. So when we get adjacent to it, we will flip every single one of those heads over and see what it is that we are dealing with. To be clear, since the Red City was destroyed, we do not have to worry about physical attacks having brutal added to their attack. There is no benefit from that place. It is just a destroyed city. I'm going to go ahead and make sure there's 36 cards in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 36. Greg can count to 36. Oh, it's advanced. Usually it's just 16. It's amazing. Give it a couple more shuffles. And that is that. Now, just like in Volkare's Quest, there is nothing added to the Dragon's D deck. We just don't have to worry about it. It is set for the game. I'm going to now have to shuffle up the green enemies from the Elementalist faction. Make sure they're nice and randomized. We're going to shuffle up the brown enemies, and then we're going to shuffle up the faction tokens. Now, the faction tokens are called relics in this scenario. And when you defeat an enemy from these factions, not only will you get a relic, you will also get +1 fame, which is nice because it just adjusts to the difficulty of this scenario. So I do think that is an important change. Remember, the fame rewards of these enemies are a bit suppressed because of what the relics are. It's nice that we're just going to get that fame. Now, if we weren't playing in the hardest difficulty, if you were just choosing what powers the dragon has, at this point, you would roll a mana die a number of times and you would give the dragon a certain number of powers, anywhere between 1 and 6. I'm giving the dragon all 6 powers. So effectively, there's basically 1 crystal of every color on that dragon card to represent those powers, but it's unnecessary to do because I'm just basically giving it all the powers, and you'll see what that means as we go. But for now, all you need to know is that all powers are in play. Now we need to get 1 more red enemy from the regular red enemy token pile. We're going to place it on the rampaging Draconum space on the red city tile that is up here as opposed to this one. And this will be face up, and it's going to be a rampaging enemy in every way, but it is also special because this is the Spectre. Now the Spectre will have all the abilities that's on this token, and what do we get? Naturally, we get the Ice Dragon. So that's super fantastic. And you know what I love even more now? I love Fireball. I love Fireball. I need to find a Mage Tower to get Fireball so I can kill that Spectre easily. If that dragon is defeated, it goes out of play, and then the Spectre will be represented by another dragon always drawn from here. And better yet, when we kill the Spectre, not only will we get the normal fame rewards, not only will we get the reputation bump because it is a rampaging enemy in every way, we will also get on the rampaging level an artifact or a spell, your choice, plus we will get a relic of our choice. So we can take either a relic from the top of the tiles here on the Elementalist faction, or we can take a relic from over here, the top of the tiles on the Dark Crusader faction. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and shuffle these puppies up. Draconum already shuffled because I had a Draconum to the Apocalypse. And now we're going to shuffle up the green enemies from the Dark Crusader faction. Last but not least, we'll get the monster enemies from the Dark Crusader faction. Now, to make sure that we remember that this is the Spectre, I'm going to put a black crystal on it. The instructions tell you to do that. I think it's a good idea. And that is now a scary Spectre, a dragon ghost coming our way, kid. Be afraid. Let me get to the next page of the instructions here. Starting fame is 0. Powers of the dragon is going to be all 6. I do think that for balancing purposes, the reward for defeating the Draconum Spectre might be a little bit too juiced up on the rampaging level. If you're playing this on the angry level, you get a crystal of your choice. If you're playing this on the furious level, you get an advanced action card on the relic. If you're playing this on the rampaging level, I get an artifact on the relic. Like, that's really crazy. So basically, I can just defeat the dragon by the end 3 or 4 times, and it just gives me a bunch of artifacts, which really allows me just to completely demoralize the dragon. At least that's how that played out in my one play of this scenario. Maybe I'll have a different experience now that this is, being recorded, because the camera tends to want to make me look like a goofball, which is fine. When you level up, unlike normal, when you discard the skill that you don't take, this time you can actually put the skill in the common skill area, and you can actually choose that your next time around. That's an interesting change, kind of indifferent to it. I probably won't do it much, but if you do take a skill from a common skill area, you will have to, like normal, take the bottom most advanced action card as opposed to having your choice of the 3 that are there. The unit offer will depend on the difficulty. Since we're playing on the rampaging level, we would just do the standard arrangement of units. If you're playing on Angry or Furious, you'll actually have elite units right from the get-go. In this case today, though, I will not have elite units until I reveal a quartile, which should be somewhere in round 2 or 3. I should say that there are 6 rounds to this scenario, so it is a full Mage Knight experience of 6 rounds. It is not a shorter blitz scenario by any means. The unit offer to start is going to have the Herbalists, the Shock Troops, the Savage Monks, and some Utem Crossbowmen. Utem Crossbowmen are probably the most realistic for me to have a chance to get. The White City, again, has some special rules. Note the White City is what? +1 armor. We can take advantage of that. If we are ever attacked in the White City, which could happen based on the rules of the Spectre, we could either give ourselves or one of our units +1 to their armor, so that is nice. Also, while we're there, we can spend 3 points of influence for 1 point of healing. Like normal, we can spend 2 points of influence to add 1 elite unit to the offer. That's already there on the White City card. We can spend 7 points of investigate an advanced action card from the offer, or a random card from the top of the advanced action deck, or we can even get spells in the White City in this scenario by spending 8 influence plus a mana that is the same color of the spell that you're purchasing. And also, as in a lot of the Tezla scenarios, when you are liberating a graveyard or a magical glade, you do not get the benefits of a magical glade or a graveyard until they are liberated. And to liberate them, you need to defeat the enemies. Night rules will apply in a graveyard as normal. And if a graveyard is liberated, remember that you only get a black mana at the start of your turn if it is night. Even though night rules always apply in a graveyard, it's only in the night rounds that if you start your turn there, will you get a black mana token. That was a rule I had wrong in my most recent playthrough of the Realm of the Dead with Tovak. Let me count this, make sure there's 16 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Again, this is Wolfhawk's D deck. Her movement can be very important in this scenario. You do have to cover this entire map, which does make this a bit different from Quest. Shuffle this a little bit more, and I have my D deck over here, and I'll just have my units. Notice I am spaced out to make room for the giant map in between. If you defeat the last enemy when you liberate a location, if it's a graveyard, you get a spell and a crystal of the same color as the spell that you're getting. That's if it's a graveyard. If it's a magical glade, you would get an artifact and a crystal of any color. You mark either the graveyard that's liberated or the magical glade that's liberated with a shield token, and you get +1 to your reputation. In the course of the game, tactic selection is pretty much the same as solo conquest. You take first. Each tactic will be used once over the course of the game because at the end of every round, tactics come out. Now we get to what happens on the dragon's turn. So the dragon's turns are fairly simple. You basically have wound or non-wound. If it is a wound card, all you're doing is advancing the Spectre. The Spectre just advances 1 toward you. That's it. If it's adjacent to you, it will attack you. You will have to either combat by flipping over your turn order token, or you will have to take 1 wound to your hand and 1 wound to your discard pile. That's because of the rules of rampaging. If it was Furious, it'd just be 1 wound to your hand. If you're playing an Angry, it's just 1 wound to your discard pile. If the Spectre is defeated, the next time a wound is revealed, the Spectre just gets put on the board again, which makes things really interesting at the end because you have a couple of wounds in a row. Well, all of a sudden you have now this Spectre who's a rampaging enemy in every way. He could be drawn into the battle as well, but similar if you provoke an attack from a rampaging enemy as part of an assault of a fortified site or an assault on Volkare's camp, you would not actually have to defeat that enemy in order to be victorious as long as you defeat all of the garrison that is the Apocalypse Dragon. That's what the wound cards do. Remember, I have 16 wound cards in there. When you do a non-wound card, that's either one of the 4 competitive spells or one of the 16 other cards. You're going to look to see what's in the source. If there was a die in the source that matches the color, you've triggered the basic effect of that reveal card, and that basic effect will be in play as long as that card is showing on the top of the Apocalypse Dragon's deck. And this is where what we were reading about before, War, Famine, Control, Pestilence, Death, and Beast Mother, that's when that really comes into play. And we'll see that as we play. Additionally, just like in the Volkare scenarios, you will have to re-roll that die. If you roll the exact same color, you get the enhanced effect of re-rolling that, which just makes things worse for you. Additionally, if you roll a gold or a black, you now trigger this secondary enhanced effect. So say there's a red die in the source, I peel over a red card, well, I trigger the basic effect of War. All interaction costs are increased by 1. I'll take that red die, I roll it, it's now black. Great. Death. If you obtain a black mana die, a ready unit you control with the lowest level becomes spent until the end of your next turn. Those can really mess with what you're trying to do. If I had rolled a red again, Instead of all interaction costs being increased by 1, all interaction costs would be increased by another 1. The important distinctions with how you reroll dice in this scenario as compared to the Volkare scenarios is that you will ignore gold even during day rounds as being that color. So if I peel off a red and there's no red on the source, I wouldn't then roll the gold. The nice thing about all this though is that if the color of the card does not match a color of a die in the source, absolutely nothing happens. It just doesn't match. So there is a swinginess to this game in that sometimes the dragon's gonna have a whole bunch of powers triggered based on just the luck of the cards, how they match up with the dice in the source. Sometimes the dragon won't really do that much to mess with you. So I'm going to keep this Powers of the Apocalypse Dragon sheet very close to me because I will need to refer to what those 6 colors do as we go through the game. End of the round is going to work similar as they do in the Volkare scenarios. I'll basically play as many turns as I want. If I have no cards on my D deck, I can declare end of round. When I declare end of round, the dragon does not have another turn. We'll cycle cards like normal, replace the unit offer, cycle a new advanced action, cycle a new spell. And the way you lose the scenario is that if you go through all the cards in the dragon's deck, and you have not defeated the dragon, your time is out. When the last card is flipped over, you'll have one more chance to defeat all 5 heads of the dragon. But after that, if you don't, and you would otherwise pull a card from the dragon's deck and there are none, game is over and the entire world is most assuredly going to fall into despair and destruction. And that's going to be your fault. So don't let that happen. The final couple of pages of this has a glossary that ties into some of the stuff in the flavor text and narrative. And then there's some variant rules and things you can do to make it harder. The variant rules for increasing rampaging look nuts. You add all 4 of the dual color cards to the dragon's deck, but you're taking away 4 wounds. To make up for that, the city bonus would have the blue bonus. It's an interesting variant. If this is a scenario I start coming back to a lot, which I might, we don't know. We'll see how that goes for me. What I do know is it is time to get this party started. There is a dragon in our midst and he has 5 heads and he needs to be taught a lesson by Wolfhawk. So I'm going to roll the 4 dice to get the source ready for the game. We get a red, a blue, and 2 blacks. Well, isn't that wonderful? I mean, the good thing about that is it's going to be harder to trigger some dragon powers in this first round. That is 50% basic, so that is a legitimate roll, even though it hurts my heart. I'm going to put a Mage Tower enemy face down over here. We have another Mage Tower over here in this desert, so while I have this bag in my hand, I'll go ahead and do that. We're going to need a Ruins token over here on this tile. It's face up because it is day. If I defeated 3 orcs, I can get a unit from the offer. And those orcs would be regular orcs because that is an adventure site. So definitely like that, but it's so far over there. Getting over there would be a really bad idea. You do not have that much time. Remember, 36 cards in this deck. I'm taking 4 to 6 turns around to start, so I have a lot more turns later. 4 turns around would be extreme, but 5 to 7 turns around for sure. If I do more than that, I'm in trouble. Since this is a rampaging enemy on a northern tile, I'm going to go ahead and place a Dark Crusader green enemy there. We have ourselves the Corrupted Priest, I believe that is, or is that the Necromancer? I can never remember. I don't know. It's one of those 2. I don't even know where that sheet is, so I'm not going to look. I think that's the Necromancer. I found that sheet because it would drive me nuts. That is a Shrouded Necromancer. Of course it is. I'm going to put the Keep token face down on the center tile, and we have to get an Elementalist faction green enemy down here. It is a elf. What is he called? He has defend 2, so his armor is effectively 6, which is nuts. He's an elven protector, and right now he's just protecting himself. So he's a selfish elven protector. But again, the nice thing about these, if you defeat this in the scenario, that would be 3 fame and give me a level up. That would be 4 fame. And it does add up as you're trying to get into those higher levels before you get up to the dragon. I put a shield on the 0 of the reputation track. I put a shield on the 0 of the feint track. I do need to shuffle up my skills. Remember, you're taking the competitive skills out. They have no place in this game. And the one thing I did forget to do was to get dummy player skills. There will be dummy player skills. There is the ambiguity as to whether or not you add one of the dummy player skills to the skill offer after every level up, or just the level ups where you yourself get a skill. It just says every level up. You know how I play that by now. I will add one after every level, but I so rarely take the dummy player skills anyway that it just pretty much doesn't matter. I'm going to roll a d6 to determine who the dummy player is. To the right of me, we have Norawas, Bravelar, Goldix, Arethea, Krang, and Tovak. I rolled a 3. Goldix it is. All right, so let me get Goldix's turn order token, which is perfect because we are up against the dragon. So it's almost like it's meant to be. I mean, this happened in my practice game too, which is why I already had Goldix's D deck shuffled in as part of the Apocalypse Dragons D deck. So it's Kismet, guys. We're just meant to play against Goldix's brethren. I don't know. We're just meant to play with a bunch of dragon stuff. Perfect. Love it. I'm going to draw my opening hand. We can choose tactics and we can figure it out from there. So I have swiftness, mana draw, promise, rage, and march. Trying to look at this terrain right now. 6 attack for that dude is extreme. That would be a really nice level up. 5 attack there is more reasonable, but I don't have access to a white. So 5 attack might actually be hard to get. Red, blue, black, black was not the roll of dreams. I can assure you of that. Don't love the fact that he's got a summons ability, although he would only be summoning a green Dark Crusader faction enemy. And there's definitely some that wouldn't be that bad. But if I go here with 2, I got the red and the source. The thing is I'd have to put 2 cards sideways to get to 6. And I would just be taking 2 wounds, which is kind of reasonable. Controls some of the variables a little bit more. We get a level up right off the bat. And I could mitigate having 2 wounds in my hand by taking planning. So I think that makes the most sense. So let me go to the tactics. I'm going to go ahead and take planning. I'm going to roll a d6 to determine the tactic for the dragon. The dragon rolled a 4. Already took it on you, kid. He gets a 6. So that's really nice. So we will be going first this round, which makes me very happy. So there's planning. So on my turn, I'm going to play March for move 2. I'm going to fight the Elven Protector. Elven Protector is going to attack me. I am not blocking him. I'm going to take 2 wounds. And now I can play Rage. I'll get attack 4. The Elven Protector has the defend 2. Since he is the first enemy I am targeting in this battle, I do need to apply it to him. So I'm going to play Mana Draw sideways. That source is really garbage. Not like I'm going to be able to use Mana Draw for much of anything good this turn. And then I'm going to play Swiftness sideways and lets me hold on to Promise, and maybe I can recruit the Utham Crossbowman when I'm over there in the village. So that's attack 6. That's enough to defeat the Elven Protector. Elven Protector goes away. I'm going to get 2 fame plus 1 because of the scenario rules. That gives me 3 fame. So there's a level up. Additionally, I'm going to be able to take one of the relics. I have my little relic cheat sheet here. That is Ice Shard. Add the ice element to an attacker block from a single action card. Elven Protector is out. I'm going to clean up my play area. I'm going to roll that die. It is blue. So we have blue, blue, black, black on the source. Put these over here so that my discard pile for my D deck will be a little bit off the screen. And now I get to do my level up. I'm looking at the top 2 skills. So the 2 skills there are Refreshing Bath. Once a round, except during combat, flip this to get heal 1 and 1 blue crystal to your inventory. Or we have On Her Own. Once a turn, influence 1, influence 3 instead if you do not recruit any unit for influence this turn. Well, I'm going to be recruiting units, so that doesn't help me all that much. That does stay in the common skill offer because of the scenario rules. I'll take the healing. We'll add one of Goldix's skills. We're adding universal power. Once a turn, you may add 1 mana to a card played sideways. If you do, the card gets +3 instead of +1. If it's an action or spell card of the same color as that mana, it gets +4. It'd be pretty strong if I felt like I was getting a lot of mana. I'll now also grab Explosive Bolt because I don't really love Crystal Mastery or Training. Bam. Refreshing Walk. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5, but since I had 2 cards in my hand, I get a 6 card thanks to planning. That should give me enough movement to get there and maybe do some things next turn. So we're going to go to the Dragon's first turn of the game. What is it? It is a white card. Is there a white crystal in the offer? No, there is not. So we do not trigger any of the dragon powers. The dragon just totally chills and is basically sleeping in the ruins for the first turn of the game. And that, my friends, is fine by me. I'm going to use my skill. I'm going to get heal 1. I get a blue crystal to my inventory. I should have gotten +1 rotation because I defeated a rampaging enemy. So that was nice. I'm going to play stamina power with a blue from the source. I'm going to go ahead and play determination sideways. That gives me move 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to have to end my turn there. I'm going to roll the die. It's green. I put these 2 cards in my discard pile. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5. Crystallize and improvisation. Planning triggers, I get a 6th, and I'm going to go ahead and pillage the village to get 2 more. We really don't want to take too many actions in these first couple of rounds. We really want to limit how many turns we give the dragon. Next turn for the dragon, It's a wound. We're activating the Spectre. The Spectre just moves 1 toward me. It doesn't do anything else. My turn. I'm going to play Tranquility to get heal 1. So I've managed to heal all the way. And now I'm going to play Promise for Influence 2. I'm going to play Improvisation and discard Explosive Bolt with it for Influence 3 more. So that's Influence 5. And I'm going to play Crystallize Sideways for Influence 6. That is enough to make me the proud owners of the Uthim Crossbowmen. Clean up my play area, draw up to 5, and then planning triggers, and that gives me 6. So I have all my cards in my hand. The Apocalypse Dragon's turn. It's another wound. We just activate the Ice Dragon. Here he comes toward me. I think a strong possibility for me is to go to that maze. It's going to be a really good opportunity for me to move 4 and get myself that fireball spell, so I have that on hand when I face that dragon, because that dragon is nasty. I could declare end of round if I wanted to, but no, let me actually take advantage of all the movement that I have in my hand right now. I play Tirelessness. That gives me move 4. Each other card providing movement, including cards placed sideways this turn, gives me 1 extra movement for this turn. That move 4, I'm going to move into here. I'm now going to play March. That gives me move 3. When I moved here, we should note that this did flip. We have the thugs. I am very tempted to smash them in the face. Yeah, why not? Let's smash some thugs in the face. Because I can, and I have the crossbowmen, and they're just chilling, and it'll be a net neutral on our reputation, and we can potentially put ourselves in a place to do some cool things next turn. Unfortunately, don't have enough movement to move into here and explore. So I'm just going to move into here. I'm sieging a fortified site, so I lose a reputation. But now I could defeat it by playing Swift Reflexes. I reduce the attack by 1. It was an attack of 3. It's now an attack of 2. I'm going to play this Rage. That is going to be a block 2, so that's totally blocked. And now in the melee attack phase, I'm going to exhaust the Uthim Crossbowmen. That gives me attack 3. I'm going to turn both Concentration and Threaten sideways, and that's going to give me the attack 5 I need to defeat that. Oh, I could do it this way. Yeah, let me do it this way. So if I was here, nothing changed here. I didn't get any new information, so this could work. Let me play Concentration to get a red mana. And then I'm going to play March for move 3 and Threaten sideways for move 2. Remember, move 3 and move 2 because of Tirelessness. So that would allow me to spend 2 points of movement to explore this. Oh, another maze. Oh, that's perfect. That's going to make it a lot easier for me to get there, get that spell like I want to next turn. I am going to need to put a advanced action in the unit offer because the monastery appears. I'm going to put a die on that to indicate there's going to be 1 monastery on the board. Planning can just come out because it's not going to trigger anymore. I still have 3 points of movement left, so then I can enter. I already lost a reputation for that. And now in the attack phase, I can use the Uthim Crossbowmen to block 3, so I did not have to reduce the attack. I can power the Rage using the red I got from Concentration. Then I can use Swift Reflexes to get me the 5th point of attack that I need there. Since I defeated the thugs, everyone loves me. I get a reputation back. I'm going to put a shield here. I'll get +1 card draw when I start my turn there or there, which makes that maze really nice. I should have gone ahead and put another enemy on the board. Let me roll a mana die because we're in the center. It's white, so we're going to get an Elementalist green enemy right there, and it's face up. What is it? It is a centaur. Hello, centaur. How are you? I'm going to clean up my play area. That red goes away. I'm going to re-roll this blue. It is now white. I get 2 fame, gets me up to 5. I draw to my hand limit. I have no more cards in my D deck. The Apocalypse Dragon has a turn. It's a blue. There is not a blue in the source, so again, we're not triggering any of the dragon's powers. I'm going to declare end of round. The dragon will not have a turn, and now I will move on and get ready for the next round. So let me reset my skill. The centaur, again, has a depressed fame value, but that's neutralized a bit with this scenario. It's attacking 3 with swiftness. It has 5 armor. Remember, with it being behind that wall, it also will have fortification. This maze is a really, really nice thing for me. I will probably defeat that centaur because it's probably just going to be quicker for me to defeat it and go through that monastery. Maybe night. I might go to this maze and then try to go around that mountain. Could just explore there next turn. I will need a fair amount of movement to get into room 4 of that maze because my goal is absolutely for me to get fireball, especially with a ghostly ice dragon coming at me at record pace. well, maybe not record pace, at some sort of pace. I'm going to replace the advanced action on the unit offer as well as the bottom advanced action. Force of Nature goes into the unit offer and Power of Crystal goes here. Seeing all the dual color cards out in force. We're going to reset the unit offer. We're getting 4. It's the Guardian Golems. We have some peasants. We have some peasants. And we have some Utum Swordsmen. Both of these are attractive to me. So if I went here, there might be an argument to come back and here, recruit, and then go around. It might be a lot more action efficient than trying to deal with all this. And then I'm over here stuck by a lake and a swamp, which isn't great. I'm going to reset the source. It's black, black, white, blue. Just going to roll a lot of black dice today, kids. It is what it is. Not great, but we will make it work. I think we're totally set. We don't do anything with the dragon. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5, but I get a +1 card bonus because I'm on my keep. So I'm going to get 6 cards. It's Threaten, March, Concentration, Explosive Bolt, and March, and a Rage. That should be what I need to make this work. Kind of, sort of, maybe. Oh, that source is bad again. Just a really, really, really unfortunate source. I'm going to look at these cards, decide which one I want. Mana Search to the rescue, I think is pretty obvious. Rolling for the dragon. He rolls a 6. Bye-bye Sparing Power. A little bit sad about that, but at least we are going first again this turn. So my turn, I'm going to want to keep the 1 black there for sure. I'm going to re-roll the blue and the black because of Mana Search. I got 2 blue. That's really good. And by really good, I mean super awful. A green would have been nice. There's a lot of things that could have been nice there. Well, I'm a little jammed up. I really want to see what that tile is to see if it makes sense for me to try to go that way when I'm done here. So hopefully I don't regret using that movement for this. Yeah, that will work. That's a beautiful tile for me. In fact, it is the greatest of tiles. We're going to go ahead and put the Dark Crusader faction token there. It's zombies. And now we're going to make this into a graveyard, and we're going to put both a brown and a green enemy there, and they are face up as per the rules of the scenario. That is something, and this is a gibbering ghoul. What is something? It's some kind of bird-looking crazy thing. What are you, bird-looking crazy thing? It is a pain wraith. Ooh, creepy, creepy. It has paralyzed. Probably not fighting that, but I do like knowing that that path is so easy for me to get through. And then I'm going to play this march to move here. I'm going to drop Threaten as much as I might want to consider recruiting there. After this, I have to make sure I draw a movement card so I can actually enter the 4 room in this maze. I'm going to end my turn. I'm going to draw up to 6 cards. So I'm still adjacent to my keep. I get Promise, Rage, and Tranquility. Well, that's going to make it hard to get move 4. Okay. That's not great. The dragon's going to go. The dragon gets a wound and keeps moving towards me. My turn, I'm going to play Tranquility to draw 1 card. It's Crystallize. And now I'm going to play Crystallize, power with the blue from the source. I could roll dice for Mana Search. I would have rolled 1 die for Mana Search. It's black. I'm going to play that. I'm going to get a green. I have to end my turn there. I'm going to drop Promise. I need to get to my movement cards. It's black. Woof. Just woof all around, man. I'll tell you what. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5. I get 1 more. It's 6. Tirelessness is excellent for me right now. That's really good. The dragon's going to go. It is another wound. It keeps coming at me. My turn. Let's enter the maze, shall we? So I'm going to do the Mana Search thing. I managed to not roll 2 blacks, guys. That's amazing. I'm still rolling blues and whites like it's my job, though. Let me power Tirelessness. That's going to give me move 4. And now that I'm in the maze, I'm going to the 4th room. I can bring 1 unit. I'm going to bring my trusty Utum Crossbowman, and we're going to pull an enemy. It's going to be a monster enemy from the regular tokens. What do we get? It is a Hydra. Well, Hydra, you look scary, but not that scary. I'm going to take a wound and play Explosive Bolt, which I can only do during combat. And I'm going to get myself a red and a white crystal If I'm not going to roll good dice, I might as well do that. And now I'm going to play concentration. I'm going to power it with the green crystal I got last turn. I'm going to use that to play swiftness, and I get swiftness +3. So we have range attack 5 plus range attack 2. That's range attack 7. That's enough to defeat the Hydra. That gives me 5 fame. I go from 5 to 10, and I'm going to clean up my play area. Roll that green die. That was blue, like green. It's just a different color, but it became gold now anyway, because of course it did. After combat, I'm going to use my skill, heal 1, get a blue crystal. I'm going to get my reward, Fireball. Welcome to the team. I have a level up as well. We get another command token. Since I leveled up, we're going to add one of Goldix's skills to the common offer. And now I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5 + 1 because I'm still adjacent to my keep. The dragon's turn, it's a blue. There's not a blue in the source magically, so he still hasn't been powered up yet. In my turn, I'm going to do the mana search thing. So I'm going to roll one of the whites and the gold. I get a gold and a blue. I do need to put a shield here. Remember, in mages, you can only go into one of the 3 rooms. I'm wondering if I go toward the monastery. I think I have to go that way. I could recruit. I think I want to get the golems. So I'm going to move 2, head back into my keep. I'm going to spend this red crystal and discard a rage to use with improvisation. That's influence 5. And I'm going to play these 2 cards sideways to get influence 6 and influence 7. And I'm going to get myself the golems. The fire block and ice block could be huge, depending on what 5 dragons we're dealing with. Luthum Swordsmen are tempting. I just think the golems are a little bit better for what I'm looking at this scenario. Now clean up my play area. Now I have a path just to go around, try to get to that village and come up there and have a pretty good path up into where the dragon is. Draw my last 2 cards. We have Swift Reflexes, Mana Draw, and Fireball. The dragon's turn. It's a wound. Ice Dragon comes 1 step closer. Fortunately, I have this Siege Attack 8. Not going to be able to get to the dragon this turn. I don't even have access to a red anyway. Wondering if I could actually take out the graveyard. That doesn't even look like it's going to work. So let me just move along. I'm going to spend that for move 4. Gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I could have done mana search and rolled. I didn't really want to. I'll be in that village. I'm going to spend this 2 just to reveal this and see what I'm dealing with next turn. It's a keep in my face, a ruins, which will be face down, but it's going to be face up next turn anyway, and a monster den. So this keep is face down because it's night, but it's going to be day my next turn. So I'm just going to flip it over now. We have the golems, so we can have some golem on golem crime here. And now we have the ruins, which are going to be face down technically, but I'm going to put them face up because it's going to be day on my next turn. If I defeat both a monster enemy and a dragon, I get 2 artifacts. And again, if I do that, I pull 3, I take 2, which is somewhat attractive to me. I just am a little worried about going a little bit too slow right now. I'm going to clean up my play area. So this rolls, it's green, dragon's turn, it's a wound, dragon comes 1 closer. So the dragon's pulled a number of wounds already. It's pulled 6 wounds and only 3 regular cards. Remember, it actually has 20 non-wound cards in there. So there is going to be a bit of stalling for the Spectre that can be expected. Spectre, I don't know, it's a lot of peck something. I'm now going to declare end of round. The dragon's like, okay, because that's what it always does. So we haven't seen any of the powers trigger for the dragon. So you see like it's a little bit of swinginess to this scenario, and that like sometimes the dragon powers just don't really do much. The new unit offer is the other guardian golems, the scouts, herbalists, and some illusionists. I'm going to replenish the advanced actions, 1 for the monastery, and then the one that's at the bottom of the advanced action offer. The new one in the monastery is stout resolve, like that, and then we have learning. So advanced action offer has not been great. I'm going to replenish a spell offer. Whirlwind goes away, and at the top now we have Burning Shield. Ooh, like that. You don't want to go too heavy with any one element against a bunch of dragons because you don't want to end up with a bunch of dragons that have the resistance that's going to totally hard counter you, which could be a problem. I'm going to reset the source, rolling these 4 dice. Wow, 2 whites and 2 blacks. I mean, that's really bad. 3 rounds and 6 blacks. That's great, guys. So awesome. Let me tell you all the ways that is awesome. It's something else. I need to defeat this freaking golem. He's physical resistant too. I don't want to use all my elemental attack. I don't think I'm going to have a choice though. It just puts me in a precarious place with the Spectre who's coming in with an ice attack of 6. I do have 4 fire block access, assuming I can get you know, the crystals I need to power that. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is going to be 5 because I'm no longer adjacent to my keep. So we have Fireball, Concentration, Crystallize, Swiftness, and Rage. I'm going to pillage the village, gets me to 0, and I get Tirelessness and Improvisation. Well, I shouldn't have looked at that before I chose my tactic. I think my tactic is pretty standard here. I'm just going to take Great Start, and I still would have pillaged the village. Stamina and Determination. Since I took number 5, we got to see what the dummy player is taking out of the game. It rolls a 2, so it took a rethink. And now the dragon is going to go first. Dragon gets a green. No powers that are going to affect it. My turn. So I'm going to play Improvisation and Crystallize to get move 3. I come in here. I lose a reputation because I'm sieging a fortified site. I'm going to play Rage for block 2. I'm going to get a red mana from Concentration. I'm going to play Fireball for the fire attack 5. And that kills the golems. I get 4 fame, close to a level up, but not quite. And we get another shield, which means I can draw 7 cards. Wonder if it makes sense just to go this way, try to avoid the Spectre, although there's so many benefits that can come over there. I draw to my hand limit, which is 5, and then +2 because I have 2 keeps. Mana Stretch can go away. Dragon's turn, it's a blue. There's not a blue in the source, so again, no powers. Tempted to take on a dragon and a monster there, but I already know I'm going to have to deal with that dragon there. Definitely don't want to get adjacent to it. Spawning grounds are just 2 monster enemies. You get 3 crystals and an artifact. That's very attractive for me right now. So I'm going to play Tirelessness and use one of my blues in my inventory. So that's move 4. Remember, every other card I play, including card play sideways, gives me a move +1 over what it would normally give. I think I head toward that spawning grounds. So that's move 4, 3 into there, 4, 5, 8 there. I don't need promise. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me do it this way. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This reveals the Utum Guardsman. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 will allow me to get 1, 2, 3 there and then reveal this core tile. We have another refugee camp to go with the one that was down here. We have a Mage Tower garrison. We have a rampaging Dark Crusader faction dragon, and we have a Labyrinth. That, my friends, is a Death Dragon, I think, or Vampire Dragon. Right, because it has the vampiric ability. This Mage Tower enemy is going to go face down. So I had move 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I spent more movement than I needed because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I actually did not need to spend promise. I'll go ahead and drop promise anyway because I just don't need it. Hand limit's only 5. My hand limit's actually increased by 1 because I'm adjacent to the White City. So that's actually very helpful. If I moved into the White City, I would get the benefit of a stronger defense when this guy attacks me, but I don't necessarily want to move into there. I really can't take wounds because of that paralyzed. So I do need to just block him all out, which does mean I'm going to need to find a way to get a red crystal ASAP if I have any chance of using the fire black from the golems. All these cards go away. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 5 + 1 because I'm adjacent to the White City. So that's 6. Ooh, mana draw is nice. Mana draw is really nice. Tempted, do I try to do the spawning grounds now? Or do I just try to kill that dragon? I just don't have the elemental attack though. Source isn't going to help me much either. Yeesh. So the dragon's gonna go. Hey, we have our first dragon power. So it is white. Since it's white, I add a wound to my hand. And now I'm gonna take one of the white dice. I'm gonna re-roll it. It's black. So what happens when I attain a black mana, a ready unit I control with the lowest level becomes spent until the end of my next turn. So they're tied. I can choose. I will say that the guardian golems cannot be used until my next turn. That's super interesting. I think if I do the spawning grounds this turn, can't use the golems now. They're considered spent. I can still assign a wound to them. Still think I might have enough. Screw it. Let's do it. I'm going to heal 1 and get a blue crystal. We're going to make this happen. I'm going to face 2 monster enemies because we're in a spawning grounds. First one is a gargoyle. Man, this physical resistance everywhere. Second one is a crypt worm. Can add that to an attack. I do like that. I'm going to play the Determination, and that would have been a crystal again from my skill. I knew I was going to use it for Determination though, so I'm going to block the gargoyle. Never mind, I'm going to defeat the gargoyle. I'm going to power Swiftness with this white. That's range attack 3. I'm going to add Ice Shard to it So that's actually ranged ice attack 3. And then I'm going to use the Uthman Crossbowman to get physical attack 2. That physical range attack 2 plus the ice attack 3 is enough to defeat the gargoyle. Determination gives me block 5. I'm going to hold this blue crystal and not use it on determination. I'm going to take the 2 wounds from the crypt worm. And then I'm going to play Rage for attack 2, Determination for attack 2, and then these 2 cards sideways for attack 6. That's enough to defeat the Crypt Worm. So he's defeated. After the battle, I'm going to use Tranquility to heal 1, and that card's played. And now I just have 1 wound left over, and I can declare end of round next turn. So end of the turn, I'm going to clean up my play area. Cards go into my discard pile. This white is re-rolled. It's blue. Ice Shard was used. 1 wound stays in my hand. I'm going to get my rewards. I'm going to get 4 plus 5 fame, so 9 fame. That gets me from 14 up to 23, so I will have a level up. I'm going to get my reward. The reward for defeating the spawning grounds is I get 3 crystals. So I'm going to roll a die 3 times. I get a green crystal, roll again. I get a white crystal, roll again. I get a red crystal. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful series of rolls. I'm going to get an artifact. Oh, I never actually shuffled up the artifact deck. I'm sure that was driving somebody nuts the entire video. So sorry about that. So much setup that I needed to do. Now I'm going to grab 2 of these. We keep 1. So circlet proficiency, which was totally on the top the other way, is now there. Great. I will have to take the circlet because I'm not taking the endless bag of gold. That will get cycled to the bottom of the artifact deck. With this escapee, you go there. And now we'll do my level up. I'm going to add 2 skills. So we have dueling once a turn. During the block phase, block 1, attack 1 versus the same enemy. If you defeat something in the range or siege attack phase, this does not apply. Alternatively, I can get refreshing breeze once a round except combat. You heal 1 and a white crystal. I don't love dueling, but I'll take it. This goes here. We add one of the dragon skills. It's heal 2, lots of healing in the skill offer. The circle of proficiency is going to go there. And now we have to get an advanced action. I will take Power of Crystals and put that there. And the advanced action offer is replenished with Ice Bolt. I'm going to draw up to my hand limit, which is 5 plus 1 because I'm next to the White City. So these are all the rest of my cards. Yeah, I'm almost guaranteed to just rest next turn. I do have access to the Guardian Golem's back. Don't think it makes sense to push it much here, and we can just come back next round in a pretty strong spot, and I can use preparation to get Fireball out of my deck if I don't get it in my initial draw, and we can kill that Ice Dragon pretty quick. The dragon's turn, it's a green. There is no green on the source. My turn, maybe I just take advantage of this lull. Sure, why not? Power crystals, move 4 for each set of 4 different crystals I have. It's move 2 more, so it's actually move 6. So I'm going to go 1, 2, explore with 3, 4. We have a white mine in our face, another ruins, which will be face up, and we have ourselves a tomb and another mage tower. That is defeat an orc and a monster to get an artifact. And over here is mage tower. I think I just revealed this too. That wastelands is... I'm going to break the circlet of proficiency to get this Goldic skill. Siege ice attack 1 every turn. Yes, please. And I just don't love the circle of efficiency being in my hand. I could have used power crystals to heal, but didn't make much sense. Still have 2 movement left from this. I have 4 movement, 5, 6 movement. This is move 3, and I'm going to reveal this core tile here. It's a keep, which could be good. We have a deep mine with all 4 colors. We have a labyrinth, and we're going to get 2 Elementalist faction green enemy tokens. This one goes here. It's another centaur, and this one's going to go here. It's another elven protector. I think that was probably worth it. Stay next to the city. I'll be in a good place to defeat the dragon and see what the terrain was offering me. Clearly, the most straightforward path up there is going to be this hills, wastelands, probably the mage tower, and then we'll kind of see how the rest of that plays out. So I did give the dragon 1 more turn, but I had all these abilities. I figured it just makes sense to actually take advantage of them. So what's the dragon going to do? It's a red. End of my turn. I should clean up my play area. I rolled a green. Dragon gets a red. Nothing happens there. And I'm just going to declare end of round now. We'll count how many turns I've given the dragon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I've given them only 14 turns in 3 rounds. That's excellent. It gives me a lot of options for the rest of this game. I reset my skill, reset the Utham Crossbowman. My skill is up here now. I'm pretty much never revealing this tile. I'm going to go ahead and clean some of this up. It's cluttered. I'll leave my shields as kind of markers of where I've been. I remember when I started playing this game and I started logging wins, I used to sit there and use the shields to kind of remind myself of the story of how it played out. I just found that super rewarding and fun. Just an interesting way to kind of replay the scenario in my head as I went. Just replay the adventure as I just kind of reminisced about the times that were in the previous 2 or 3 hours. Shuffling these, those are ready. I also have to add a keep token to the board. The keeps really helped me limit the dragon's turns for sure. One option for me, depending on my draws, I actually move into the city and just attack the sucker. It's only 2 to get in the city. Let me reset the offers. Stout Resolve and Refreshing Walk go away. Do like Ice Bolts. I wouldn't mind having some more elemental attack. Just had a little issue with the dragon there. We'll reset him. Pretend I didn't say anything, which honestly, I wasn't paying attention that much. We're putting this here. It's now Rush of Adrenaline, another dual color card. We get Agility over there. Do like Agility a lot. We're going to replenish the unit offer. We're going to have to get an Elite because we revealed a core tile. So we have the Defana Masters. We have the Utim Guardsmen. We have the Ice Mages. And we have the Thugs. We're going to put a new spell in the spell offer. And we get Underground Travel. Honestly, it might not be a terrible idea. I'm going to roll the source. Make sure I roll 2 blacks every turn. Whoa. Okay. I rolled 4 greens, which is a thing that I do sometimes, I guess. I don't know what's happening. Absolutely absurd. I mean, it's really limited the dragon's powers. As you have seen, this is a very bizarre sequence of rolls. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is still 5 plus 1 because I'm next to the white city. So fireball right off the top. So I just need to find a way to get a black, which mana draw is definitely the way to do that. I get the 1 from the city. So now we have concentration as well. That's a very good turn. I do not want to go first, but again, I could just move into the city and do it that way, which, what the heck, that just makes some sense. I'm going to look at the tactics. Don't need to take preparation. I'll try to save that for the last round. I'm going to take From the Dusk and definitely go first. We'll see what the dragon rolls. Dragon rolls a 1. Took it from you, buddy. 3 is not available. 4 is Midnight Meditation is out. And Wolfhawk is back first. Let me just kill this dragon because I just don't want to be waiting forever for 2 wounds to show up. So I'm going to spend stamina for move 2, move into the white city. And now I'm going to choose to attack the dragon. The dragon's like, what? You coming at me? I'm like, yeah, I am, buddy. And I'm going to take concentration. I'm going to get myself a red mana. I'm going to play mana draw. I'm going to power that with a white from my inventory. I'm going to take one of these greens, turn it to black, get 2 black mana. Super not efficient, but what I need to do right now. Playing Fireball, actually powering for the stronger effect of Firestorm. I get a wound to my hand, Siege Fire, attack 8. That's enough to defeat the Ice Dragon. I'm going to put this crystal back over there. If it respawns, that's where the new dragon's going to spawn. I'm going to get 2 reputation bumps. So I go there, and then I get 8 fame. So I go from 23 up to 31. I'm going to clean up my play area. This black does not get re-rolled. I did get a level up. So now I have 6 cards in my hand plus the 1 from the White City. I can also potentially recruit a unit to the new command token I just got. And I'm going to add one of Goldix's skills here. After battle, I could do this just to heal and get that wound out of my hand and get another blue crystal. Fantastic. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is now 6 plus 1, so 7. Swift reflexes, swiftness, explosive bolt, and promise. Very far away from recruiting. Fauna Masters, 1 shield, so that gives me an influence of 1 coming in. Promise would get me up to 5. Probably should have held on to concentration and used the red crystal. I just was kind of loath to dump that so quickly when I should have a 7th card. It's saying I should have 7, and I only pulled 6. Yeah, so 1 more card. It's a wound. It's another wound. I could spend influence based on the scenario rules to heal the wound, but I know I have a tranquility in my deck still, so probably a little bit inefficient use of influence here. Really would love the Ice Mages. Might dump my whole hand to get it. I'm probably going to do that. Ice mages could be really important in this scenario. We're going to go to the dragon's turn. It's a wound. We just defeated the dragon, taking his sweet time last round. So now we're going to respawn. Oh, my bad. My bad. So what are the last card I pulled? The wound would come back. Since I defeated the Spectre, I actually get an artifact or a spell plus a relic. I'm going to get a relic of my choice from the Dark Crusader faction. It allows me to turn a gold into a black or a black into a gold. Could be nice. And let me get the artifact, which would obviously be in my hand. Banner of Fear, up to 3 enemies do not attack, or Banner of Protection, at the end of your turn, you may throw away all wounds you received this turn. Banner of Fear is not going to help because all the dragon heads have arcane immunity. So we're going to actually just have the Banner of Protection, which is great. Now, let me look at this. If I assign the Banner of Protection to one of these units, the unit gains armor +1, fire resistance, and ice resistance. At the end of your turn, you may throw away all wounds you received this turn. So I'll decide what I want to do with this next. But now we have to add another Dragon Spectre because we killed the one. Hello, Dragon Spectre. What are you? It is a lava dragon. He's going to be chilling over there, and rinse and repeat will be coming at us. It's going to be really hard to defeat him with siege. It has a fire attack 6 with brutal. So we'll have to figure out how we want to deal with that dude. 8 armor and fire resistance to go with it as well. My turn, I am going to recruit the ice mages. I'm going to play Promise. I'm going to power that with a white crystal, so that's influence 4. I'm going to play the Banner of Protection sideways for influence 5. Remember, I have 1 shield on the city, so that's influence 6. I'm going to play this Rage for influence 7, Swiftness for influence 8, and Explosive Bolt for influence 9. And that's enough to get the ice mages to come to your new home. And that leaves me a bunch of move, which is great. Remember, part of the bonus of the White City is you can recruit from any location. So even though this is not a unit that can normally be recruited in the city, I can recruit the ice mages there because it's the White City. All the other things I could have done, if I had 3 more influence, I could have healed 1. I could have spent 2 to add another elite unit to the offer. I could have spent influence for spells and advanced actions. So go back to the rules as I explained them earlier. That's the end of my turn. I'm going to clean up my play area. I'm missing a white crystal now, but I have the power of crystals, which is great. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 6 + 1 because of the city. So there's the wound. There's tranquility. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to go to the dragon's turn. It's green. There is a green in the source, so we're going to have an effect. I discard a relic, if any. So this relic I just got is out. And now I'm going to re-roll the green. I rolled black. The unit I control with the lowest level is now unavailable. So the golems are once again unavailable for me for a turn. My turn. I'm going to play Tranquility to heal 1, get back to 0 wounds. I'm going to play Tirelessness. I'm going to power it with this blue. So now I have move 4. All my other move cards get move +1. I'm going to use a green from the source to power March. So that's move 9. Yeah, I mean, it's looking like this Mage Tower or that Ruins. I'm going to be getting so many artifacts every time I defeat the Spectre. I'm going to have to defeat the Spectre probably 2 or 3 more times the way it is. We'll see how this goes. So that's move 9. So 4 + 5 is move 9. So move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It doesn't reveal because it's night. Could just conquer that now. But 2 units. I have a blue +1 movement on everything. I have this. Oh yeah, it's totally loaded. So the golems aren't available. I'm going to spend Swift Reflexes for move 3 more. That allows me to enter into the Mage Tower. I'm going in blind. I lose a reputation. It's a Savage Monk. So I'm going to use Dueling to get 1 defense. I'm going to use the Ice Mages for block 4 more. So that's a total of block 5. I'm going to now use the Crossbowman for attack 3. I get attack 4 from Dueling and then attack 5 from this skill. Do want to declare end of round next turn, so I might just dump the rest of my hand at the end of this. Since I used a unit this turn, I don't get the +1 fame from Dueling, but the Savage Monks are dead. That gives me 4 fame. That gets me up to 35, so I will have a level up. I might not be able to declare end of round next turn, the way that worked out. I think I'm going to have too many cards to actually declare end of round, which is fine. I will deal with it. I'm going to get a spell. Let me get Burning Shield. Mana Bolt comes into the offer. I'm going to place this here. I'm going to clean up my play area. This blue goes away. I'm going to re-roll this green. It's still green. These reset. Since I won't be able to declare end of round, I'll hold on to these cards just in case. Looking at my next 2 skills. Motivation. Oh, great. So I'm going to take Motivation because I'm a sucker. This will go here. I have 1 of Goldix's skills. Allows me to get influence based on every different color of crystal I have. Now I take an advanced action. I'll go ahead and take Ice Bolt. Done. I draw to my hand limit, which is 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll use motivation to get 2 more. 7, 8. I get 1 fame because I have the least amount of fame. You always have the least amount of fame in the solo game. I'm wondering if I could take on the lava dragon this turn. It's actually not the craziest thing right now. The golems are reset for me now. And we go to the dragon's turn. It's a blue. There is no blue in the source. I'm going to play power crystals. I get a white crystal to my inventory because I can gain a crystal to my inventory of a basic color I don't already own. I'm going to play crystallize, power it with the green. Green crystal. It doesn't make sense to use ice bolt for a blue crystal, but I want to make sure I get this last card in my hand at the end of this turn. So I'm going to drop, threaten, and that's going to be the end of my turn. I'm going to re-roll this. It's white. I draw up to my hand limit, which is 6. Dragon's turn. It's a white. We do re-roll the white. Now what happens? I add a wound to my hand because of pestilence. I'm rolling that. It's white again. Now I add a wound to my discard pile. Silly whites. That's the worst. But that's the kind of stuff we should have been seeing all along. Part of me is tempted kind of move around and maybe flank that dude. Maybe get over to the red mine where I can just start loading up on red crystals. Yeah, I don't want to waste all this movement in my hand. So I'm going to spend move 4, use improvisation to get me move 7. That's move 8, 9, 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm adjacent to where the dragon lives. Now, again, these are not rampaging enemies. He's just chilling in the ruins. He's like, come at me. And I'm like, I will. Just give me a second. So the 5 dragons in there, I'm going to just put them on this tile here since I never revealed it. It is the other lava dragon. So we have the Spectre lava dragon and then the dragon from the Apocalypse dragon, who's also a lava dragon. We have the Elementalist dragon there. I forget what his name is. What are you, sir? That is a Savage Elementalist dragon. Of course it is. That is a Death dragon. I think. What are you? It's not the Vampiric dragon. That is the Death dragon. I was right. We have the Fire dragon and we have the High dragon. There's a ton of resistance to fire for sure, but at least both the Dark Crusader and the Elementalist faction dragons do not have fire resistance. So that is the end of my turn. I'm going to re-roll this die. It's blue. The dragon's turn. It's a wound. This dragon's going to move 1 toward me and get adjacent to me and obviously try to take me out. Next turn, I'm going to declare end of round, reset all my stuff. We're going to need to kill that dragon. We'll get a relic and an artifact for doing that. And then we'll have to figure out how we want to take on the Apocalypse dragon. Getting 2 wounds on my D-deck right on the end of that was a little bit unfortunate. I kept the banner in my hand instead of assigning it. It's really nice. You get a bunch of wounds, you just throw them all away. That includes wounds you get to your units and stuff. It's a very, very strong card. Normally the 3 that don't attack is really strong as well, but not so much when everything has arcane immunity. I'm going to reset the unit offer. Elite unit, regular unit, elite unit, regular unit. We get fire golems, fire mages, peasants, and foresters. Let's reset the advanced actions here. The one in the unit offer is dodge and weave. It's amazing. The one over here is ritual attack. And we're going to reset the spell offer and we get chill, which is amazing, but still wouldn't work on enemies that have arcane immunity. So it doesn't matter. We are going to the 5th round. It is the 3rd day. Rolling these dice. It's an actual legitimate roll this time, guys. It is a white, a blue, a red, and a green. Who would have thought? I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 6. Swift reflexes, rage, fireball, rage, mana draw, and burning shield. Not in a terrible place to defeat the dragon. I'll let them go first. I can save a mana this way. So I'm going to play mana steel and take a red. So the dragon's turn. It is a wound. This dude is attacking me. On my turn, I'm going to use the golems and I'm going to use a blue crystal here to give me ice block 4. So now I just need physical attack 4 or ice block 2 more. I do not want to use the ice mages just yet. I'm going to play burning shield. I'm going to use this red. That's fire block 4. So that fire block is inefficient, but it's enough to fully block the lava dragon's attack, or the Spectre Dragon, I should say. And now I just need to come up with 8 attack. And I'll also use dueling as well. So since this was a successful block, I get attack 4, but it's fire attack. So that's going to be inefficient because there's fire resistance. So that's physical attack 2 virtually. Here's physical attack 3. I will not get the fame because I already used the golem. Actually, let me not use the red from mana steal yet because that's silly. I'm going to use mana draw. I'm going to use that. I'm going to turn this blue to red. I have the most access to blue, so I'm at least worried about it. I'm going to get 2 red mana tokens. One of those I'll use for Burning Shield. The other one I'll use to power this Rage. And then I'm going to use this skill here. So that gets me to 8. So review, I blocked it using the Guardian Golems with a blue crystal. I still have this mana steal there, which is nice, which will actually further limit how many times the dragon's going to trigger one of its powers. And then I used dueling for good measure as well. That was enough block to block a fire attack 6, so I don't have to worry about the brutal at all. Then in the melee phase, I had fire attack 4 plus the 1 attack from brutal plus the 4 attack from rage plus the 1 attack from Goldix's skill that I took because of the circular proficiency. It's enough physical plus fire attack to defeat the dragon. He is very gone, so I'm going to get 2 reputation plus 8 fame. Gets me from 36 up to 44. Oh, the Spectre Dragon attacked me, so I should make this really clear. This is me attending, so this is my turn. On my turn, that's just going to flip over, and then it's going to be the dragon's turn again. When it respawns, I can put it on any Draconum space. It's not really going to matter. My whole goal is to get here and just making sure I have a full amount of red crystals in my inventory. So let me clean up my play area. All these crystals go away. I still have mana steal. This red die does not get re-rolled. And then I rolled a white die. It is now gold. No level up of any sort. I'm going to draw to my handler, which is 6. So we get determination, we get concentration, and we have ice bolt. Yeah, that's a good combo. I would really want that banner in my hand. See what happens by the next turn. So this would be my turn. Since I attended last turn, this just flips back. And now we go back to the dragon's turn. It's not a wound, which is good. Is there a white in the source? There is not. Again, the gold does not count for these purposes as it would in a Volkare scenario. My turn. I'm going to use my motivation to get 2 cards and 1 fame because I have the least amount of fame. I'm going to use this skill here to get the heal 1 and get a blue crystal. Do not have a movement card. Then I'll go ahead and power crystallize with this red, get another red crystal. And then I'll just go in for an attack next turn. Not the Hand of Dreams by any means. Actually, I really need a move card. I really need a move card. Let me do this a little different. I still have mana steal here, so I don't actually need this red. Let me power crystallize with the gold and take a white. And I'm going to drop concentration and hope I pull one of my move cards. So I'm going to roll this. It's still gold. These come back and I draw a card. Is it movement? It's a wound. No, not movement. Eesh. This comes off. Red happens. All interaction costs are increased by 1. I re-roll this red. It's another red. All interaction costs are increased by another 1. So I'm not interacting. It does not matter. I'm going to rest on my turn. 6 cards in my hand are not enough. I'm discarding rage and 1 wound. Yes, I'm discarding the rage. I have other things in mind. I get explosive bolt and the power of protection. I still have no movement. But now that I have explosive bolt, it's actually fine because then I can use swift reflexes for movement and then I can use explosive bolt for what I wanted to use the swift reflexes for. So this will totally work. Dragon's turn. It's a blue. There is no blue in the source. Again, the gold doesn't matter. My turn. I'm going to assault the 5-headed dragon. Yes, I will. So I'm in there. I'm going to move all these dragons down here and let's see what kind of magic I can work. I'm going to play Banner Protection. At the end of my turn, I throw away all wounds I receive. So even if I get knocked out, it doesn't matter. All wounds are going to go away. I'm going to play Fireball with this red. I'm going to power the Ice Mages with this gold. I have this range attack 2. I have Explosive Bolt. Remember, the armor reduction is not going to happen because of the arcane immunity. I'm going to power that with this white. I have a block 5 to prevent some wounds, but that's not going to matter because I'm throwing everything away. But I do have this ranged ice attack 3. I also have this ice attack, and I have this block and an attack 1 if we think I can defeat something else. So how's this going to work? Who's not fire resistant? These 2 are not fire resistant. Also, this dude has paralyzed, and that's nasty, 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 and more nasty. Let me see what range of siege attack I can get. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. This would be 9, which would be enough to defeat that clown. He doesn't have physical resistance, and this dude does. But if I have the siege ice attack 4 plus the range ice attack 3, that's enough to defeat that clown. So I still would have this attack 3. I could have this attack 4 and this attack 5, 6. which is unlikely to be able to defeat anybody. And by unlikely, I mean impossible. That's fine. So I'll hold on to the crossbowman and I'll just have another thing to do. And let me see if I can hold on to this determination. The high dragon has brutal. So that's 12 points of damage. That's 4 wounds. This is 3 points of damage from the fire dragon. And it's also 4 wounds from the lava dragon. These are all elemental attacks. So the golem's physical resistance isn't going to matter. And the ice mage's ice resistance isn't going to matter. There's nothing I can do to not get knocked out here, which is fine. So I'm going to just take all the wounds to my hands. Who cares? Since I took enough wounds to my hand, I get knocked out. At the end of this turn, I could just throw away all wounds I received. Thanks to Banner of Protection. Oh, I should have gotten another artifact for defeating the Spectre Dragon. So that's that. Oh, that's fantastic. So when I beat the Spectre Dragon, I would have taken this relic, which is really cool and actually could have been really helpful. Violet Toxin. 1 sort of physical attack gains +3, 2 in range, and 1 in siege. This bonus is lost if the attack is no longer physical. So it wouldn't have worked in any of the elemental stuff I did. And then the next artifacts were the Amulet of Darkness, the Ruby Ring. I would have just spent the Ruby Ring. Remember, I ended up resting at some point anyway. So somehow, one way or the other, it would have ended up in my discard pile. So I'll just take a red crystal, a red mana that just lost to the Aether and +1 fame. So that's probably best case scenario. So sorry about that. This just goes in my discard pile. So now all 11 of these wounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It was 4, 4, and 3. So that's right. They're just thrown away because the Banner of Protection. I was very, very protected, guys. It is what it is. And since I did not defeat these suckers, I just go back to where I started in that desert. Clean up my play area. Those crystals go away. I use Mana Steel. So that goes away. These 2 dice get re-rolled. It's a red and a gold. These 4 cards go on my discard pile where Determination went after I got knocked out. And I'm going to get how much fame? Well, I defeated both of the factions. So it's 6 and 6 +1/+1. And I get a relic for each of them. So we're going to get the Dark Crusader relic. The Dark Crusader relic is Ghostly Elixir. 1 attack on a single card becomes ranged. And we have this. I could trade out one of my skills for another skill. That is from the Elementalist faction. That relic is Tome of Relearning. On your turn when not in combat, you may swap one of your skills for another in the common skills area. And that also includes a skill that I've already used this round. So the fame I get again, 6, 6, add 1 to each. So I get 14 fame. I go from 46 up to 60. That is another shield coming off. So I could potentially recruit, probably not going to happen. And I add another one of Goldix's skills. That is his cooperative skill, which is called the Source Opening. It's not very good. So don't really know what it does. I just have never been impressed with it. And I don't really feel the need to be impressed with it now. Those 2 dragons are out. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is still 6, even though I just leveled up. So I get Power of Crystals, Tranquility, Swiftness, Threaten, Promise, and 1 more card. It's March. The dragon's turn. It's a wound, so we respawn the dragon, and we're going to put this dragon on either space. I will put him adjacent to me, make me have to move out of the way because I'm scared. It is the Storm Dragon, which is fine because it just doesn't do much damage. Plus, I get to assign those 4 points of ice damage to the ice mages and just never take a wound. So that's actually not a big deal at all, but obviously I cannot kill him right now. I do want to get into the red mine. So on my turn, I'm going to spend March and Promise sideways and move over here. I'm going to drop Threaten. None of the other things here matter all that much. I'm just not set up to attack anybody just yet. I'll play Tranquility for 1 card, and then I'll be drawing the rest of my cards. If I can kill him, I might just do it just to get another artifact and have 1 more level up going into the next round. So that's the end of my turn. I draw to my hand limit, which is 6. Move, move, move. End of my turn, so I ended on a red mine. I get a crystal, and now it is the dragon's turn. It's a wound. The dragon moves 1 closer to me. I could attack it. I would need 14 attack, though, unless I block it, but I would need 16 block or 8 fire block, because remember, it has an ice attack 4 plus swiftness. 14 attack is much more realistic. I just don't think it's worth it, especially since I have the ice mages to just completely soak it for the rest of the game. I think I just declare end of round. I don't think an artifact's going to help me all that much right now. Yeah, declare end of round. The dragon's like, okay, I am a very agreeable dragon, who sounds like Mickey Mouse for some reason that I don't fully understand, but you know, dragons are weird. I'm gonna, yes, it's the dragons that are weird, Greg. It's absolutely right. I'm gonna shuffle these up. I have 1 wound in this massive deck of mine. You definitely can accumulate cards pretty impressively, especially once you beat the Spectre Dragon a couple of times. I'm not going to have a great way of defeating a lot of these guys in the siege or range attack phase, although the high dragon is going to be pretty easy to defeat. I mean, ultimately, we have enough elemental attack. The element is physically resistant is the fire dragon. I'm going to reset the source. Blue, a green, a red, and a white, resetting the unit offer. It is Ice Mages, Red Cape Monks. Catapults are amazing in this scenario, and Utem Crossbowmen. This comes off. It is Intimidate, Regeneration, I'm sorry. And then we have Tremor. Tremor is awful in this scenario. I'm going to draw to my hand limit, which is 6 still. Concentration, Rage, Tranquility, Ruby Ring, Crystallize, and Rage. Hand is actually pretty bad. I'm going to take Preparation. What is Preparation going to do for me? Yeah, let me take Preparation. That's fine. So I'm going to go second. We'll see what Dragon does on his first turn. So Preparation, what card do I really want? I really, really want, and I really, really want something like that. I was a Spice Girl. Did you know it? You should have, because it's amazing. All this fire attack is absolutely nerfed. I think I take Ice Bolt. So the dragon's going to go first. What are you doing, dragon? It gets a white, so it adds a wound to my hand. We re-roll this. It's a red, so it doesn't do anything else. If it was a white, a black, or a gold, we would have had to worry about it. Again, that was Pestilence. So there was a bad wound thing that happened to me. So I'm going to play Tranquility. I'm going to power it with the green. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Mana Draw could be helpful. I'm going to play my Motivation. I get a Fame for that. 2 more cards. Oh, so many cards. I'm going to break the Ruby Ring. I get +1 Fame for each red spell I cast this turn. Probably will cast 1, maybe, sort of. I don't know, but I have unlimited red and black. And now I'm going to spend this for move 2. Before I enter, let me do this. I get a blue crystal and a point of healing. And then I'm going to spend the move 2 there. I enter. So let me figure out how I want to deal with these 3 enemies. They're all fire resistant. My non-fire range attack is going to be this. That's Ice Attack 3. Mana Draw lets me use 2 dice in this source. I have a Siege Ice Attack 4. Violet Toxin, 1 source of physical damage, gains +2 in range. So I can actually add that to the Crossbowman's attack. So that's 4 ranged physical attack. I can't add non-physical attack to that, but I can power Rage and add the Ghostly Elixir to make this a range attack. So that's a range attack 8. And then I have Goldistic Skill to make that a range plus siege attack 9. That's enough to defeat the High Dragon. I have the Ice Attack 7, range 3 plus siege 4 to defeat the Fire Dragon. And now we just have this clown. I will do the Golems, Ice Block 4. Ice Block 4 reduces this down to a Fire Attack 2. If I can get 3 more physical block, then I can fully block him. And then I just need 8 non-fire attack. This would be physical block 4. That blocks him. Can I get 8 physical attack, though, is the question. I think I just take those wounds. I can actually get 7. I can get 7, but I cannot get 8. Fine. I'll just take the wound. So I will not use the golems. I'm going to take 3 wounds from the lava dragon, and now I just need 8 physical attack. So that's attack 2. And then I'll play concentration, power the rage, and that's physical attack 6 plus the 2. That's 8. When I entered, remember this is a rampaging dragon in every way, so I should have added the Spectre. That wound I would have just assigned to the Ice Mages, so it basically would have been a total non-entity. I would not have been able to get the 14 attack on that to defeat it, so it just wouldn't have mattered. It just wouldn't have mattered at all. I have Fireball still in my hand, which is absolutely bananas. But that is that. I have defeated the heads of the dragon. The Spectre's like sad. Sorry, Spectre, you can go back from whence you came, but I would get a bunch of fame from this. That's 16 plus 9, so 25 fame. I don't know, does some things. There is scoring. I do really appreciate Drake writing, if you want to score, you can do this, but acting like this is an optional thing, because yeah, it's totally optional to me. You see how huge these relics can be when you're playing a scenario and you know how to manipulate them. So I think, look, if you're really experienced with Tezla, if you're really experienced with Quest, you're going to find this scenario on the easier side, even at the higher level, we still had a bunch of turns, and Wolfhawk reigns supreme. Her movement is really good for this scenario. So it could be that if I play this with Tovak, I might struggle a little bit more. Even Norwas might not be as huge. Knowing that you're going to be able to recruit in this white city is really cool. So that kind of gives you a leg up. You can almost build your scenario around it. It's not going to be hard for really any of the mages, I think, to have a decent array of units, just knowing that that white city is right in the middle of the board. It would be interesting to play with the dual color cards and have 4 less wounds. Obviously, the Spectre moves a bit less at that point, so maybe not. I don't know. I'd have to test out the scaling, but really glad Brian brought this to my attention. I don't spend a lot of time looking at fan-made stuff as a matter of just not having a lot of extra free time in my board gaming. I just am always learning games and trying to get rules down, whatever, that the fan-made stuff just falls to the wayside for me. So having a patron like, you look, this is what I want you to do, I thought that was pretty cool, and I was glad to do it. And thanks again to Drake for creating the scenario. I think the more ways you play Mage Knight and the more different scenarios that you get experience with and you start winning consistently at, the more you understand the ins and outs of this game and really how to manipulate your cards and do things that might feel weird when you're doing it, but it's like, this is the right move. Like, it was a weird move for me when I spent my last white crystal and put 4 cards sideways to get the ice mages, but I knew the ice mages were going to be huge for this scenario. I'm like, hey, I'm up against 5 dragons. Chances are one of them is going to have fire resistance. I want more elemental attack, or one of them might have a fire attack where I can just use an ice block. That was really important as I was trying to develop my overall strategy. I hope everyone really liked this as a change of pace and just another way to experience this game that we freaking love. If you want to see what's coming up in solo playthroughs, you can check out my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. I put a calendar up about a week before every month with a calendar for that month that's coming, plus a sneak peek for the month after that. While you're there, check out a tier of support. If you want to be like Brian and be like, hey, I want you to do this on the channel, that would be awesome. I have really liked the patron challenges that I've gotten so far. Win rate has been decently good in them, so that's always a good thing. But definitely check that out. I would appreciate the support. Other than that, the likes, the comments, the watch time, the subscriptions, telling everyone how awesome solo playthroughs is. Appreciate all of it. Any concerns, questions about the scenario, anything I did wrong, please put that in the comment section below. I will happily get back to you as soon as I can. And until next time, whether we're in Atlantis or somewhere else, happy gaming.